20 years. For 20 years, a young woman vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions, heartbreak, and a mystery that seemed destined to remain unsolved forever. Then, one rainy evening, a man walked into a police station and said 7 words that would change everything. "I know where the body is buried." What happened next shocked an entire country. In the summer of 1998, 22-year-old Emily Carter was living in a small coastal town in northern England. She had just graduated from university and was saving money for a backpacking trip across Europe. Emily was the kind of person everyone remembered. Friendly, outgoing, the type who knew everyone's birthday and never forgot to call her parents. Then, on July 14th, she disappeared. That evening, Emily left her apartment to meet friends at a local pub. Witnesses saw her laughing outside shortly after midnight. That was the last confirmed sighting. When Emily failed to return home, her family immediately knew something was wrong. She never missed work. She never ignored phone calls. Police launched a massive search. Volunteers combed forests. Divers searched rivers. Helicopters scanned miles of countryside. Nothing. No body. No weapon. No suspects. Just silence. Months turned into years. The case slowly became one of the country's most frustrating mysteries. Detectives chased hundreds of leads. A truck driver was investigated. An ex-boyfriend was questioned repeatedly. Anonymous tips poured in from across the country. Every lead ended the same way. Dead end. As time passed, Emily's parents grew older, but never stopped searching. Her mother kept Emily's bedroom exactly as she had left it. Her father carried a photograph of her in his wallet until the edges wore away. They refused to believe they would never know the truth. But after 2 decades, hope was fading. Then came the confession. In October 2018, a 61-year-old man named Robert Hayes walked into a police station nearly 200 miles away from Emily's hometown. He wasn't under investigation. Nobody was looking for him. In fact, officers had never heard his name connected to Emily's case. At first, they thought he was another attention seeker. Cold cases often attract false confessions. But Robert was different. He appeared nervous, shaking, almost relieved. He asked for a detective and insisted he had information that only the killer could know. Investigators listened carefully. What he said next made the room go silent. Robert claimed that 20 years earlier, he had witnessed Emily's murder. Not committed it. Witnessed it. According to him, he had been helping a friend dispose of stolen equipment in a remote woodland area outside town. While there, he saw his friend arguing with a young woman. The argument became violent. The woman was struck. She fell and never got back up. Robert claimed he panicked. Terrified of being implicated, he helped conceal the body and kept the secret for 20 years. Detectives were skeptical. But then Robert described something chilling. A unique silver bracelet Emily had been wearing the night she disappeared. The detail had never been released to the public. Suddenly, investigators realized they might be dealing with someone who actually knew the truth. The next morning, police followed Robert into a dense forest. Rain pounded the ground. The woodland had changed dramatically over 2 decades. Trees had grown. Trails had disappeared. Even Robert seemed uncertain. For hours they searched. Nothing. Detectives began wondering whether they had wasted their time. Then Robert stopped. He pointed toward a patch of earth near an abandoned stone wall. "This is where we left her." Excavation teams were called in. The digging lasted nearly 2 days. Then a worker's shovel struck something hard. A human bone. The forest became a crime scene overnight. As more remains were uncovered, investigators found fragments of clothing matching what Emily had worn on the night she vanished. After 20 years, Emily had finally been found. Her family received the phone call they had waited decades to hear. The mystery was no longer a mystery. But another question remained. Who killed her? Robert's story pointed to one man. His former friend, Michael Turner. Turner had never been considered a suspect. He was a respected businessman, a husband, a father of 3. To everyone who knew him, he seemed ordinary. But detectives soon discovered something unsettling. Back in 1998, Turner had lied about his whereabouts on the night Emily disappeared. The lie had gone unnoticed because investigators never had reason to look closely. Now they did. Search warrants followed. Old records were re-examined. Witnesses were re-interviewed. Then another bombshell emerged. Several people remembered seeing Emily arguing with a man matching Turner's description shortly before she vanished. The pieces finally started fitting together. 20 years late, but fitting together nonetheless. When detectives confronted Turner, he denied everything. He called Robert a liar. He claimed the entire story was fabricated. For months, the case became a legal battle. Then prosecutors revealed evidence that shocked the courtroom. Soil found on tools recovered from Turner's old property contained rare mineral traces identical to those found at the burial site. It wasn't enough by itself. But combined with Robert's testimony and witness statements, the case became impossible to ignore. The trial lasted weeks. Emily's family sat through every session, listening, waiting, hoping. At times it felt like reliving the nightmare all over again. Then the verdict arrived. Guilty. The courtroom fell silent. Emily's mother burst into tears. Her father simply lowered his head and wept. For 20 years, they had lived without answers. Now, at last, they had them. But perhaps the most haunting part of the entire story wasn't the murder. It was the confession. For 2 decades, Robert Hayes carried a secret that kept him awake at night. A secret he thought he could take to his grave. Yet guilt has a strange way of surviving. It waits, quietly, patiently, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades. And eventually, for some people, the wait becomes unbearable. One confession, 7 words, and a mystery that had haunted a family for 20 years finally came to an end. Because no matter how deeply the truth is buried, sometimes it finds its way back to the surface.